So, welcome to our Friday brown bag. It's actually a pretty good turnout, considering that it's still a holiday week where a lot of people aren't doing much. And just appreciate you coming down. We're going to discuss consulting. Basically, when we were first starting GamePlank, there were a lot of ideas. We kind of crowdsourced our ideas for brown bags, and this is one of the ones that kind of voted mid-top. So the other ones I did, such as how to get started doing training, that one we already covered. But this one is kind of to help people. We have a lot of individuals that come into GamePlank that have a business that is right now kind of on the edge of hobby, but not quite making money yet. People that think they would like to be a consultant and we think that we have the knowledge to be deep enough to consult. It's kind of help you gauge it. I think everyone here is actually working in some type of consulting fashion already. But if nothing else, it'll kind of give some guidelines to provide other people really good advice on how to get started. This is kind of a collaboration of things that I got from people who helped me get started, as well as ideas that I picked up along the way from people that mentored me to help me grow my business. So just to introduce myself and what we're going to discuss, just going to give a quick introduction to me and what I do with my small company, how to identify the remaining opportunities, how to get the business.
Is this it? Because it's my first brown bag, it's interactive, as in we ask questions now, wait till the end.
Yeah. Throughout, you can ask me a question. And then I have time dedicated at the end for whatever question, or just general discussion. Right? Because it's not just me lecturing, it's kind of us having a group discussion as well. If there's anything you don't agree with, as I get to, as you see, like here I have outlined 4 rules that I try to live by. If you disagree with them, we can discuss them. This is my rules, and just sharing the way I've achieved the success I've gotten so far. Tell everybody. Right? Basically, how to identify if you have opportunity to be a consultant, how to find a business, what I feel can differentiate a really good consultant from other people. A lot of people hate the word consultant. They think that they're just going to be paying a lot of money and not getting a lot of stuff done. And if you talk to a lot of your clients, that's kind of the field, right? So what can we do to be different than that and to differentiate ourselves is what's going to make people see you as a valued consultant instead of someone who's just robbing. My company is called Sense Solutions. I don't know where I came up with it. It was just one day I was tired of working at IBM. Looked for a domain that I thought would make sense. We used SY from systems, and then it made sense. It made sense to me at the time. Since then,
you'll be here all morning.
Since then, people have called it Science Sensei Solutions, which I thought, hey, that would actually be pretty cool. But it's Sense Solutions. The slogan is in our logo, technology solutions that make business sense. I try to focus on figuring out or discussing with my clients, what's your business problem? And then my job as a consultant is to figure out the technology solution. And people of all businesses find it. I talked to a guy that does video production yesterday. People say, hey, here's the video I want. Listens to what they want, says, okay, what marketing issue are you trying to solve? And he tells them why the video they had in their head isn't the best video at all. And it shows them the best way to do the video marketing. So I try to do the same thing with my clients. I've been doing some work with this particular company in legal form since September 2005, up to 20, 30 hours a week after my regular job. And I was able to quit and do full-time practice since April 2011. Some of the biggest companies ever were started in the middle of a recession, so people thought I was crazy, but it's been working out. There's a bunch of letters behind my name which don't matter as much as the actual experience that I bring, but I am a PMP, project management professional, certified Scrum product owner, and a Red Hat certified engineer. I'm also a Red Hat certified instructor and examiner for Red Hat. I primarily focus on 2 areas, software engineering. So I help people specifically with integration problems and large web app design. A lot of the work I do is on the back end, invisible stuff that speeds up websites and different types of applications rather than the front end stuff. I have no artistic ability, so I try to avoid having to do that type of stuff. Green and black screens with stuff scrolling on them, I feel at home and I'm happy. Clicking a mouse sometimes it angers me. When the computer asks me, are you sure? That really, really pisses me off.
You should be able to fix it.
I know there's a couple Linux and Mac guys here, so I use mine as F with almost everything. Just force it, make it do it now. Don't ask me. It's not negotiable. I think that some of the best professionals are able to teach what they do. And as you teach what you do, you also gain more experience. And if you're in consulting, and I talked about this when I did my training brown bag, there's a lot of easy money you can make in training if you're good at it. Not everybody's good at being training. We can discuss that. That was a brown bag I did before. We might refresh it. But if you are comfortable speaking with people, if you are easily able to communicate difficult concepts and break them down so people can grasp them, we're talking hundreds to thousands of dollars a day just for talking. And so that's the secondary place where I make money. And then on the gang point, Tucson Anchor, I sit under the 3 little skulls when I'm here. So the first thing I want to talk about from the standpoint of consulting is how to identify the opportunity you might have. And I use this illustration that's up here to kind of show that we all have depth of experience in something. Right? It could be, I'm an expert in Star Wars trivia. Right? Is there a lot of money to be made as an expert in Star Wars trivia? Probably. But depending on how I leverage any area in which I'm really deep, that's one area in which I can be a consultant. A consultant should be an individual who's an expert in at least one or more fields. To enhance that, it always helps if we have breadth across multiple areas, because then we're able to relate our experience with other domains that are necessary to achieve business success. So for this example, let's say this is just a web geek, right? What does that mean? Someone's saying, I'm a web guy, or I'm a web girl.
So you have more experience in Star Trek trivia than you do in iOS?
This isn't me.
Oh, okay.
This is an example. I hate PhD.
Okay.
This particular example is not me, but let's just say this is a web geek.
Okay.
A guy or gal that's doing some web development, really deep in PHP, really deep in MySQL, but let's say that they deploy an application to a company, right? And that's all they have. And they get a call from their client saying, hey, our office in Bangkok cannot access this up. Well, there's multiple places where that could be happening. That could be happening on the server side, that could be happening in the code, it could be happening on the network. What makes a really good consultant is their ability to sit down with the networking person and be deep enough to have a conversation to determine where's that problem. And we're going to talk about people's perceptions of consultants in a moment, but if they have no experience in networking, they sit next to the network person, right, at their client site, and they're saying, well, I don't know, all my code looks fine. All my code looks okay. The network person, well, let me try this thing, try something. So is there anything on your side that could cause it? Well, I don't know. I don't know network. So what's the perception when that network person goes back and talks to the manager who's paying the consultant? This person doesn't know what they're doing. Right.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that we definitely need to have this depth. This is a requirement to be a consultant. You have to be deep in something, deep enough for a person to invest a large amount of money into paying you instead of giving you staff and training you staff. But the breadth is also necessary so you can see how interrelated technologies, your technology consultant, interrelated business concepts are related. Just to expand on that just a bit more, the way we could address that is, what are my domains of expertise? What is it that I'm deep in? Right? And then, what is my range of expertise? What are the areas in which I've applied that deep knowledge? Or what are the range of areas in which I've worked? And also, what value can my expertise provide to my potential clients? Why is that valuable? Like I showed before, an individual is moderately deep in Star Trek trivia, but that doesn't provide any value to most businesses.
Unless you're looking for server managers.
Server managers, yeah. But then they can just talk to the person who's deep in Simpsons trivia. Really try to answer this question. Why should people call me? And I highlighted, why should they call me instead of calling James for a particular issue? If they need SEO services and they need to really look at how they're marketing their website in an organic manner, doing white hat technologies, that's the guy to call, not me. I don't do it. I want it. Why should people call me? Well, do they need training? Do they need courseware written? Do they need Linux expertise? And they need someone to explain that to staff as who's coming on board. That's why they should call me. Right, the idea is to figure out, we could have a similar domain of expertise, but our range of expertise may be different. And so when you find it, you're kind of locating your niche in terms of what it is that you provide, why people call it. For instance, okay, I got a group of 5, I spoke in front of 50, 5,000. I'm okay with that. I could be working next to someone with similar experience in Linux, probably even deeper than me. But if they're not comfortable speaking in front of people, should they consider trying to compete with me in training? No, because you're talking to people all day. You have people that think they know everything, arguing with you in front of a classroom full of people. You have a lot of things that if you're not comfortable talking to people and handling those situations, there's no reason to do that. But I hate picking up the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning for a support call. If you don't mind that, and you're willing, and you can make a lot of money doing that, then that's the area where you focus on. That's your niche, as opposed to another niche. So same depth of experience, same domain of expertise, but different way in which it's applied. Does that make sense? So guiding principles are, again, think about the niche areas where you can be competitive. Don't try to compete in something that you're not good at. Don't try to take that one depth of experience and apply it across a whole range. This can apply to industries as well. I worked in, the majority of my career has been product development, specifically with large enterprise systems, and surprisingly enough, because I'm in Tucson, mining. So Tucson is actually a hub of mining technology. Tucson and Brisbane, Australia, like the silicon pits of mining. Never thought I would ever work in mining, but I actually know quite a bit about industry. So I could be competitive in applying the things I know about system administration and back-end systems integration in those areas more so than I could, say, for retail. Do I have retail clients? Yeah. But more valuable to the mining clients because I know their industry. Also think about what makes you valuable in your current role, your current business, or your circle of friends. By that, I'm kind of saying, what does people always call you for? You're already a consultant, all of us. I called my mom about a family recipe for gumbo. My mom's my cooking consultant. My dad had worked on everything from helicopters to tanks to semis. So when I need to change an alternator and I run into a problem, I call my dad. That's my consultant. So what do people already call you for? At work, what do people call you? At IBM, I became a glue guy because I was the guy that figured out how to make different types of systems work together. So what is the nickname? What is it people call you for? Because that is already telling you your niche. You're already consulting many times without even knowing. Take that and see if it's something that can be valuable to potential clients. The trap, again, is trying to be a jack or Jill of all trades. There's a trainer who I taught with a couple times, and she's a lieutenant colonel in the military. She's deployed in Afghanistan now, but she's also managed like billion-dollar projects for the federal government. She says when she's building her ideal team, she likes to have a few skinny people, long people, which she means people with depth of experience, and she tries to avoid the wide people. And she's not talking about physical size. Not physical size, but those people are just they say they know everything, a lot about everything. It's impossible. You can't have depth in everything. So what we want to do is we want to find a person who's kind of in the middle. And that's the best consultant as well. So you have the depth of experience, we can apply it in a few different ranges of business or technology. But we don't want to be thin and try to spread ourselves across everything. I can't say I do web design, SEO, and mobile development, and mobile web, and native Android, and iOS, and I can't say I do all that. When you look at my website, I'll say we do like 6 or 7 things just because I have experts in 6 or 7 things I contract with. But nobody knows all that stuff. And when you see that company, just look at how they're doing. Next time, take a step back and look at that consultant who's saying that they do everything, and it's just one person. And see how long it's going to be. You'll find that typically they're the ones that burn out quickly because they don't have happy clients. Because they don't have enough experience to really provide quality work across 100 different domains. So trying that is just going to be very simple.
Can I throw an analogy of this?
For sure.
I was in the nightclub business for quite a few years, and you'd have people that would go in a nightclub. They wanted Monday night, they were going to be a sports bar. Tuesday night, they were going to be a disco lounge. Wednesday, it was going to be the hottest new house club music that 21-year-olds like. And then on Friday, it was going to be an 80s night. Never worked. They had, the clubs that worked were the ones that had one thing they focused on. The sports bar was a sports bar. A hot, high-end disco is a hot, high-end disco. So.
You know, just to further the experience of how I'm saying you can have multiple domains if you have expertise in all of them, like contractors or employees. There's a company that all they do is they promote their mobile web development and all their native mobile development. They do Android, you know, the BlackBerry stuff is nobody was buying it anyway. But because of how they started off as an ASP.NET shop. They've done development in Rails, PHP, across the whole gamut because the guy has 13 expert developers that know all those things. So he takes all that work, it's on his website, but he pushes and promotes only the mobile because that's what he wants to grow. But all the other work is still financing the company. So is he doing something wrong? No, because they actually have the depth in all those areas. But when we just try to say, okay, well, I'm going to read this book and now I'm an expert consultant in Perl and I never touched a Perl script in my life, that's when we start to do work, have unsatisfactory results, dissatisfied clients, and that never helps if you're trying to build records. So my principle here is don't simply chase dollars. There's ways to boost revenue with things that you're good enough at without just chasing every opportunity. It's very difficult a lot of times for us to say no, but if someone calls us and say, hey, can you do this? And I know I'm not good at it. Someone says, hey, can you do my graphic design? Oh, graphic design, 75 to 125 an hour. Yeah, I can do it. No, I can't. I already said I don't have a creative bone in my body. Yeah, I'll generate garbage. And then what's the perceived value? Stay away from that guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. I do know what I'm doing, just not what I'm doing. So let's just conceptually take a look at a couple kind of case studies. I do this with other classes I teach. So Bill is a senior accountant at a big Fortune 500 company. He knows corporate tax law, but he hasn't done work directly with taxes for a few years. He still does help some of his friends that have small businesses with their taxes, so he does that. But for the past 7 years at this big company, he's led audits of accounts payable and accounts receivable. He's also been the primary interface to the IT department in this big company. So what do you think Bill's opportunity is to be a consultant? What advice would you give him if he's going to leave the company and say his goal is a leader? What would you tell him? Auditing? Yeah.
I'd look at what he found interesting, because usually, at least for me, my own interests drive what I'm more interested in working on. And so I'd look at, let's say the best thing that he enjoyed was actually assisting the small business taxes. If that's what's going to, what he's going to enjoy and he thinks he's going to add a lot of value to, that would be what I would recommend that he do.
Well, I think same thing Zach is saying is basically follow your passion.
Yeah. All right. But that might not make you money. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
If you realize that, hey, I'm helping my friends with this and I do this for them for 2 months out of the year right around tax season, and then I have 10 months of the year when I'm not doing anything, then that's a stupid idea.
Yeah. So
you have to figure out you have to sort of balance the two.
There it is.
There's a connection with the IT department as well. I mean, there's got to be an efficiency component that I think he could mark himself as, or he has that glue between the two departments can translate theoretically between accounting and IT.
A lot of different ways to look at it. Again, all I'm giving you is my opinion and sharing what's made me successful. The hardest thing is to take a look at what you do and be pragmatic about it. Hardest thing for me to do lately is I'm moving into mobile development. I have 2 really good developers who are going to help me. I want to do some myself. Hardest thing for me to do is to take a look at iOS and realize I hate Objective-C. To me, it's one of the ugliest languages I've ever seen. No, I'm not going to do it. I worked with Java for years. Do I think it's awesome? No, but I can knock out Android stuff without a book, just playing around in like a half hour. So I'm looking at Android development instead of iOS. I would love to say for my company, I'm the guy doing that stuff, but sometimes we have to be more pragmatic. So there's kind of a balance to be struck. You want to do something you care about and you're passionate about, but you also have to look at where the dollars are if you want this to be a sustainable business. Sometimes the dollars may not be where you're necessarily passionate about, the most passionate. Like I said, don't chase dollars, but you have to look for the opportunity you uniquely have that's going to allow you to compete. How many companies are there out there, or people out there, doing small business taxes?
A lot.
Tons. So the competition there is not a unique opportunity that Bill has in this case. So this is just my opinion on what I would tell Bill to do. Focus on niche areas of expertise, large corporate accounting audits. Big companies, outsource that anyway. For it to be legal, for it to be really reputable, for people to believe it, for shareholders and all these people to really take stock in the audit that's done anyway. Deloitte and Touche and some of these really big consulting companies are who do those anyway. So if he's been doing these internal audits, and he has expertise in auditing, and perhaps he can target middle-sized companies that don't want a team of 500 or 5 people walking in at $500 an hour in a suit and tie to do an audit for their smaller company. They can't afford the Deloitte. They can't afford the Accenture. Maybe they can afford Bill. And Bill can charge $250 an hour and be very happy. That's his opportunity, right? He could leverage expertise that makes him broad, right? You said that he consulted with the internal IT department, so he has experience. So one thing that you can do with your clients is, once clients trust you and you don't have this big cloud of mystery around you, and the client knows that you're looking out for their best interest, then you can say, after you finish the audit, you know what we did at my last company? We had the same problem I noticed that you had. This is why these mistakes happen. And one thing we did was we chose this software to fix it. And I know how we can do that. If you'd like me to start investigating that for you, here's the rate. Bill at that point has already provided value. Now he's able to broaden his skills, and now he's providing audits, and he's also helping people choose the right financial packages for their company. Maybe consider doing taxes. And this is where I said sometimes there's things you know how to do, you're good at them. Sometimes cash flow gets slow. This is a slow time of year for me. I don't like doing websites. Picked up a couple websites. I don't have anything else to do. I'm not teaching you classes till March. Big contracts are still pending. When they come through February, March, which is when things pick back up after the new year, I'll be done with the website. But right now it's giving me a little bit of cash inflow. Right? So he doesn't want to focus on that because then he's just going to be doing busy work, like you said, for like a couple months out of the year. It's going to be competing with a whole bunch of people. He focuses on that. Start from the focus on the top 2 areas of the business, and then if there's other things that can bring in some cash, he stops doing them for free for his friends and tells them, hey, I'm working for myself now. Here's my charge. Let's look at another person, Kelly. She's an IT manager for a medium-sized software development company. For the previous 10 years, she worked at several software companies, but most of her roles have been technical. This is the first place she's been a manager. She's been a software engineer, a test engineer, a build engineer. So she knows about the entire process of developing products. She has about 3 years of total project management experience. So what would you tell Kelly since she wants to get her consulting business off the ground? What are some ideas about what she can do? I try to make this one a little bit more complicated.
This one seems like I would target IT departments that maybe aren't collaborative. She's done all the roles of different kinds of engineering. She probably can understand how they communicate better. With a little bit of project experience, see how the different roles blend. Medium-sized corporations again. She hasn't worked for a large company. Depending on the silo situation, I guess would be
Cool. I didn't think about that.
I'd also, your example of having experience in mining companies, all the experience she has there is fairly generic or cross-applicable to different companies and other things. So it might make sense for her to look for a niche in some specific. So for example, if all the software companies she was working in were in like the legal sector or game development or something like that, it might make sense for her to look into those specific niche areas as places where she could look to start something. But it looks like she's climbed the corporate ladder in this point, to the point where she is managing other people. So it might make sense for her to work as you recommend, as you said earlier, about taking and informing teams that can perform existing or working to use her management experience rather than her technical experience.
Another idea? There's no wrong answer. It's just kind of an exercise in looking at business, trying to take ourselves out of the picture. The best way to do this, my advice is, when you're coming up with what you want to do, just take it to someone who's successfully doing what you want and saying,
My thought was that she doesn't want to quit her day job right away. She needs to move into this slowly and not just chop it off and try to pick up.
good advice too.
And what doesn't she like about each of those engineer roles? Because she's been in so many different kinds of engineer roles.
I don't know.
Maybe she's trying to broaden her skill set.
See, that's the other thing is that The reason I'm doing this is that both of these are kind of like a combination of some of my own experience. Like every company I started, I was brought in a technical role, did well, and then got moved into management because management realized I could talk to customers, high-level executives, and non-technical staff without being intimidated with skills you things translate between the technical and the business, which is pretty rare. So that's where I leverage, right? Who knows why Kelly was put in that spot? Maybe that's her skill. I hated it every time they did it to me because I just wanted to be a geek. So here's what I would tell, right? I would tell her to refresh her technical skills and offer programming services. I didn't say she was out of it completely. I said she's been doing project management for 3 years, so maybe she's been touching it still. She was a good engineer across the entire spectrum, so she could offer a broad range of services. Probably. I don't think she has enough PM experience to help large companies, but I think she needs to continue building that experience. Maybe help small companies with some of their project management. I don't think she can walk into Google, Facebook, Twitter, and say, hey, the way you guys have been developing software, my 3 years of experience, I don't think that's going to work. But I think that she probably can build that and do some small consulting as a project manager. But here's the opportunity. Sometimes we have to look at our skills in a different way. We may not just be using the skills for other people, but she knows enough about project management to manage probably her own projects. So that means that if she focuses on software development, she could probably scale faster than a person that doesn't have project management experience. Right? See, it's just kind of taking a little bit of a twist on skills we have. Sometimes those skills can benefit our own company. So Kelly may have been doing management of 3, 4 developers at a time. How many consultants like her who are a solo programmer could turn on overnight and pick up 3 more programmers and keep all those projects going? Few of them. Well, she has that experience where she can do, so she should leverage it. So maybe she can take in 2 projects she can handle her own after she has happy clients. The way she escapes her day job is picking up more work, finding reputable programmers, and outsourcing that stuff. And she can scale that by using the skills she has already. Right? Just different ways that I can to think about it. So next topic is how to find business. Number 1 thing is your personal business network. There's nothing better, period. You know that if you've done any type of consulting, any type of business, a plumber is a consultant. I call my friend who knows a lot about home improvement, has done several remodels, and I say, tell me a plumber who's fair, not going to lie to me, and is reasonable price. I'm not even looking for the cheapest. I just want it done right, right? And he's going to tell me who to use, and that's who I'm going to call. Dude, I don't check anybody else. I don't go on the internet. I don't flip through yellow pages. I don't get any better than that. No, still here. I call and I say, give me a referral. Tell me the plumber you would use because I know he knows what he's talking about. And the same thing happens with any type of service. And I think we can all attest to that. If I want to find someone who's a really good developer to help me out, I talk to the developers I trust and say, hey, do you know anybody else that needs more work? That does work as well as me? That's the first spot to go to. So you have to leverage that. Let people know what you're doing. I'm not saying harass all your friends and give them all 500 cards and go and pass them on to just say, hey, remember, this is what I'm doing now. If anybody asks me. Other resources, I kind of put these in order of how I used them and where I grew in the past 1.5 years. Craigslist, surprisingly, more so than the sites I put at the bottom, like freelancer, guru.com, all these sites. On those sites, you're competing with people in Poland. I can't compete with Poland programming prices. I can't compete with India. In India, you can outsource something to a team of 5 developers for $25 an hour. I can't do that. I'm not going to try. I'm waiting until people do that, get disappointed, and then want to pay the real price. But on Craigslist, you're going to go through a lot of garbage. I'll just tell you this now. There's a section called section at the bottom under jobs or gigs. It has computer, labor, different types of stuff. Right? And you can find anything for almost any type of service that people are actively looking for help with. There's no fee like freelancer, guru, Odesk, all these take some of your money. They take a percentage for making that connection. Craigslist is just like anything else. That being said, there is a lot of garbage. There's people on there saying, hey, I'm looking for an intern to develop this, or I have an awesome idea for an app. Who doesn't? And if you develop it for me, it's a really easy idea. Like if they don't, they don't develop anything. If you develop it for me, then you'll get half the profits. And you take a look at that awesome idea after they tell you they make you sign like a fake non-disclosure, and you find out that there's 30 apps just like that on App Store, going for 99 cents for free. Yeah, what's the upside? So there's a lot of garbage. When you filter out that garbage, you will occasionally find big companies and medium-sized companies that actually have money that they're willing to pay. They'll post the rate they're willing to pay, and they'll say these are the skills we're looking for. So for instance, I found as I was getting started a company that right after legal marijuana, medical marijuana got passed in California, a company that wanted to compete, they realized that dispensaries were going to be opening across the country after that trend in California, so they said, hey, what we want is we want the name, address, basically they want all the information they can get about every possible legal dispensary in the country in a spreadsheet format, scraped everything. Now, some web scraping jobs go for like $100 a list, and I knew how hard this one was, and I said, minimum is going to be $1,000. When I gave a person a real quote in email, and they replied back, I'm like, okay, this person's serious. When I said, send me a PayPal deposit to get me started, and they sent one, they're still serious. I completed the work and they paid me. This is while I was still working a day job. So script took me a couple hours to put together, another hour to clean up the data. So 3 hours of work on my computer working overnight for 2-3 days. $1,000. $300 an hour, that's not bad. While I'm still working my job to help me get out of that job so I can do consulting.
Were you looking at just local Craigslist, or were you looking at
Nope.
different metro areas?
No, that was if I'm correct, that one was the LA or the Orange County Craigslist. So at times when business is slow, I'll look at that computer gig section for big cities. And a lot of them will say we want local only. But what I do is I look for the ones where they don't care where the person is, or they're remote. If the remote is okay. Then I also put in my reply, I say, people get a lot of automated garbage from Craigslist. I say, I'm a real US-based programmer with user experience. Here's my website. Here's what I think I can do for you. Here's my rate. I don't do this all the time. I won't do this slow time now, but this is how I got started. I made a couple thousand a month or a couple months off Craigslist doing just stuff like that. Easy stuff. So it's a reasonable place to pick up business. Social networking is as well. I prefer LinkedIn. I picked up business last year on LinkedIn, just going to different groups. Just like anything else people have done. Someone asks a question in a group, you provide an answer. Someone asks a question, you comment on it. And you're just getting visibility, being involved in the conversation, and over time, you may ask, hey, you seem to know a lot about this, can you train? Also, a lot of times, companies that are looking for contractors, such as training companies especially, will put the opportunities on LinkedIn. And if it's a reputable company, I'll reply and say, hey, here's my rate, and I'm interested. If they're interested in me. I use the rate to scare people. It leads out people really quick. And I'll say, here's the rate. If you're open to it, I like it. Different types of industry groups or network meetings. You can do as many of those as you feel. I try to focus on things like specific small trade shows, but I just, the morning breakfast things don't do it for me. For some people they do. It depends on the business. Co-working spaces like Banquet. This is an awesome place to make connections and meet people doing different types of businesses. For the very fact that Bookman's was sitting here for so long, they're one of my larger clients now. So Bookman's was sitting here, they ran into some problems, they said, hey, can you help? I fixed a couple of things, it took me a half hour for free for them. Since then, a significant amount of revenue this year has been from me having Bookman's as a client. Even going outside that initial space where they asked me to work with the other areas where I know people who are deep, because I didn't do them like other contractors who said, yeah, we can do it, and we provide the results. So, happy client from me sitting here working on Bookman. Again, these sites work for some people, Freelancer, Guru. I hate them. It's up to me. More important than finding business is keeping business. Customer retention, keeping that relationship going is number one. Do it by regular touches. So this means an email, old school newsletters. Some businesses' newsletters are still awesome. Actual paper newsletters get mail. But emails are the way most people do it now. I like to just pick up the phone every now and call and check in. Say, hey, I haven't heard from you for 3 months. As far as I know, the system I installed for you is working fine. How are you doing? How's business? By knowing how the business is, that can gauge whether it's time to fix something new. But the idea is that, again, you're staying in touch. The thank you card is huge. Like a lot of people, there's a few people that made a successful business out of it, but a few people dabbled in real estate. I did. Thank you card, and then like top producer in my office. Just, thanks. Appreciate you being able to show you property. I kept that, so a box of thank you cards costs like $2 from Target. So now for 20 cents a touch, I can do something that no other technology company I know locally does. Someone gives me, I don't know, a couple $100 of business, I send them a 20-cent thank you card, and next time I say, oh, thank you so much for the card. And of course, inside the thank you card is 4 o'clock on my business card. Simple, not hard. A blog, I should do this more, an average only once a month, which is horrible. But it just allows you to kind of stay in touch and people post on what you're doing, and then you connect that to your social networking and say, hey, I just wrote an article about blog. The guiding principle on this is 2 things. Number 1, in any business, there's been tons of research on this, it's 10 times more expensive or more to acquire a new customer than to keep an existing one. So your list of clients is going to shrink for some reason. Some clients are going to go out of business, some are experiencing budget cuts. The last thing you want is for that list to shrink further because you ignore them, just because of negligence. That's not the reason to allow that list to shrink. So it's going to cost you money to build that as you're building your business, but as it shrinks organically, you don't want to add to that because you haven't been touching it. And the second thing is just staying on their minds. Again, people are going to make calls, and someone has a nice mobile app developed, right? So I have a client, I'm working on a mobile app for them. It gets developed. Someone's like, oh, I just love that app. I downloaded it for your store. How did you get this done? Who did it? How much did it cost? Right? No, I don't want them to forget who did it. It could be a year or 2 down the road. If I haven't talked to them, they could easily forget it. They're running a business. I don't want them to forget who did that quality work. I do that by staying on it. How do you guys achieve cost savings? Like, you be more profitable this year? Do you have some kind of business intelligence running? Oh yeah, this company did. I want that to stay on that. You know, not a constant pitch. A lot of times, people try to achieve this by means of a hard sell, saying this is what I'm offering now. This is what I'm doing. These are all like marketing and social media concepts. But the idea is, I'm not trying to hard sell. I'm just trying to stay in touch with it. It's just a conversation you're trying to continue.
So how often would you send an email?
Right now, I'm about once a month. I do my calls more frequently. Roughly about once a month, like when I say call to check in, a lot of my clients have me connected on Skype or Google Talks. I'll just ping them and say, hey, how are things going? It's just, stay in touch. So my email newsletter and my blog is about once a month. It needs to jump up for.
So then on the blog, how do you get people to go to your blog?
I connect everybody I do business with on LinkedIn if they have it. And so that's part of my number 1 is, LinkedIn has added a lot of improvements in the past year. And so one of them is just, being able to see the comments from other people as it goes.
So is LinkedIn your blog then?
No, my blog is hosted on my site, so I'll put like a little blurb in LinkedIn. Like yesterday I put, hey, I'm doing a groundbreaking game, and Alex is actually one of the games on Cambridge. He sent it out to his friends and said, hey, Darren, you should come agree with Darren to say. It kind of grows that way. And then also when I do a blog article, it's easy to put in just one of those short URLs into my post. So I say, hey, just wrote about this. And the full article is on my site. Additionally, that drives traffic to my site. So it's just you can see how these things kind of here's how we differentiate. The reason why people hate consultants. Lots of talk, little action. So a consultant comes in and says, I'm going to do all this stuff and start getting billed. Invoices arrive, but I don't have any software. I don't have any better accounts. I don't have any closures. There's Google days. So that goes. Mystery processes and techniques. Someone saying, oh, what we do is really complicated. You can't understand it. But there's nothing but insult because people are. High charges, which are not bad in themselves. I'm not cheap. No successful consultant is cheap, but little perceived value. Right? when I deliver the invoice to my client, if I have a lot of mystery behind it, and all I've done is talk, and then how they get this invoice, they haven't experienced any value. I kept it a mystery of why it took me so long to accomplish this particular task, then they just can't equate the dollar amount with some business value. I try to be transparent, we talk about that a little, but if people see how difficult it is what I do, and I even am able to educate and help them see why it's necessary, not getting into the technical detail and trying to intimidate them with that type of thing, but just saying, hey, this stuff is really hard, that's why you called me in the first place, and here's how long it took. Then I give them the invoice, and they see value, and the people are using it, and people are also like, oh, this is so much easier, or they have more clients going to their website, or whatever the value is. If they see the value, then I provide the invoice. Very little I've ever had in my value. When we travel as a mystery, that's why people hate consultants. It's like, giving you an invoice and you don't even know what you're paying. And also problem identification, but no solution proposal. There are some businesses, very few, IT auditing, financial auditing come to mind, where your job is to come in and identify the problem. But there's very few businesses where people are going to pay you just to say, you suck at this. Right? But a lot of times consultants want to do that and say, oh, this is all the stuff that's broken. So they already called you for a reason. The reason is they knew they had a problem. Fix that problem, earn their trust, and then find out other problems and provide an ideal way to solve additional services. So the idea here is to be different. Don't be like all the consultants people hate. So I have 4 rules that help me. 1, honesty and transparency. The best clients I have see me as a part of their company. I'm a partner. So I don't try to cover up what I do with a lot of BS to make them think that what I do is very complicated or difficult. Is what I do complicated and difficult? In some cases, yes. It could just be that you get enhanced your staff. Whatever it is, there's a book I read about how to sell to big companies, and one of the principles I took is that first quote. High-level executives at big companies, I didn't even realize this when I worked at IBM. They're just regular people with a lot of responsibility. At IBM, I worked with a guy named Mark Dean. He's in the Inventors Hall of Fame, along with the Wright brothers and a few other people. He is listed on 7 of the first 11 original patents on the first IBM PC. This guy basically invented the ISA bus, which, if you know, PC computing is basically one of the first pluggable buses. Led the team that developed the first gigahertz chip. I don't know when that happened, like 97. I remember being in high school and seeing the announcement. Whoa, it's a gigahertz. It's awesome. All right. Had a mentor meeting with this guy. He called me into his office. Super intimidating. After doing that enough times, I realized these people are just normal. At IBM also, there's a guy named Rick Bradshaw, who's from Tucson. When the Challenger space shuttle, when it blew up, tapes flew from the sky in burning heat of magnetic mess, hit the bottom of the ocean, corroded until they found them, pulled them up, sent them to MIT, Carnegie Mellon, Stanford, a bunch of places. NASA could not get the data off the tapes. What they do? They called IBM who made the tapes. IBM said, send them to our materials PhD expert in Tucson, Rick Bradshaw. Rick Bradshaw got every bit of the data off of them. He's a normal guy. Sit down with them, just a normal guy. So a lot of times we're intimidated and we think we have to like suit up and impress these people. You don't have to impress them, just talk to them. Find out what the problem is. These are people that have a problem, you're there to solve it. Your best clients are going to have good BS detectives. The people that are willing to pay for value are going to know when you're feeding them a load of crap. So don't even try it in the first place. People that can sign the check don't have the right, they don't have the authority to sign the check if they didn't know about the noise. So don't try to hide it. There's no need for secrets. The more you educate your clients, the more they're going to have trust in you, the more they're going to know that you can do, and the more business is going to have your way. It's my principle, and you believe it or not. For people to try to put a big aura of mystery around what they do, don't do a lot of it. This irritates people. Bottom bullet 2, nobody knows everything, so it's okay to say I don't know. But I know someone who does. I don't know, but I can figure it out. I don't know that I face a similar problem at this place. I can fix it. Rule number 2, invest in yourself. Just because you're an expert today doesn't mean you're going to be an expert always. This is another principle that I've been taught that I do by. It's just it's not the point of business I'm in right now. Product businesses are generally more desirable than service-based ones, right? Service-based business, I can keep on doing something to make money. I'm only making money when I'm doing something. Product, I sell it multiple times, but then that product can continue to make me money even when I'm sleeping, right? Software as a service, I run a really good software platform, people subscribe to it. I'm asleep, it's making money. I'm not actually physically doing it. So the idea of investing in yourself means two things. First, educate yourself constantly. Fill in your gaps. I'm a terrible salesperson. I'm really good at consultative sales style, helping people with a problem. But I'm no good at coming in and saying, hey, I just made this, it's awesome. You should buy it. I don't. I'm not good at it. I learned enough about sales to get okay at it, and then realize I need someone else to do it for me. But I wouldn't have realized that once I really started to study about sales and how to do it correctly. Another way to invest in yourself besides your education is to reinvest in a product offering to expand your business. Right? So, first time I tried this, it was with a text messaging marketing service. I've been doing some learning about text messaging. I made a little product. It wasn't wildly successful, but it made enough to pay for my time doing it, as much as I would charge someone else an hour. And enough for me to buy a computer and then shut it down because it wasn't as successful as I needed it to be. I still gain knowledge about SMS, and now someone asks me, hey, do you know how to do SMS programming? Do you know how to send text messages in mass? Yeah. How many people say, oh, $100,000? No problem. But I have that experience because I invested the time on myself. Also seek out mentors and ask questions. Tim Ferriss, the guy that wrote the 4-Hour Work Week, 4-Hour Body, and
Recipe or cooking or whatever it is.
yeah. It's a touchy subject. People have like wildly different opinions about what he says. One thing I like that he said is he had a challenge that he gave people, which is pick out a person that you think will not respond to you. You want to have a successful business, and you want to start not being afraid of people. Pick out someone who you don't think will respond to you. Call them, try to get in and ask them a question. I forgot the example he used in his book, but it's in the 4-Hour Work Week. There was someone really high up in some company that he kept on harassing and writing letters, and eventually got a 30-minute phone call. I didn't go that high. There's a guy named Greg Pollock who's really, really popular in the Ruby on Rails community. Wildly successful company. If you're looking at stuff like Code School, it's interactive coding in the browser. You can invite to Washington, D.C. to talk about training and concepts like that. I mean, good guy. I emailed him just out of the blue, said, hey, I'm looking for someone to kind of mentor me and help me get my business started. So sure, let's have a chat every week at this time. Wow. Don't know unless you try. So you got to seek out those mentors. I only had 2 or 3 calls with him, but those 2 or 3 calls were so valuable because where he is now is probably about 3 or 4 years ahead of where I want to be. Right now he has 20, 30 employees in Orlando, big Ruby on Rails contracts coming in, a product that's making him money. Guy's doing good. That's where I want to be. So if you want to learn how to expand, talk to someone who's where you want to be. Don't be afraid to learn from failure. Failure without any practical gain in practice or knowledge is worthless. But if you learn from it, failure can be done. Just have this culture where sometimes failure is not to be accepted. People say failure is not an option. It's garbage. Failure is absolutely an option. You're going to learn more from failing than you're going to learn necessarily from success. So the idea here is to make a mistake, learn from it, don't repeat it. To make another mistake, learn from it, don't repeat it. So you're consistently learning. Mistakes are not necessarily to be avoided. The fear of failure is what stops a lot of people from massive success because they don't even try. And transition to working on your business, right? The difference between being a business owner and self-employed is in these pictures. Which one's a business owner? Yeah, the one on the beach, on her phone, answering questions, saying, yeah, I do this, and putting the phone back away and reporting. Exactly, I was just about to quote her. Oh, sorry. The other lady is self-employed, she's there. I'm still self-employed. I'm still doing a lot of work myself, but we want to try to keep this idea in our minds that we want to transition to working on the business instead of in. And that's where, being passionate about what you do is cool, but the passion can kind of keep you attached to the work. Someone who's just a really good mechanic may not be a person who should own an auto shop. Right?
That
Because
goes back to your ex-person, where like if you wanted to step from the paperwork, find someone that goes deeper maybe than what you know in
absolutely.
the market.
The other thing is a principle, you know, I'm going to cite Gerber, Michael Gerber wrote the E-Myth, and the idea there was he tried to say you can apply a franchise model to anything. So the idea is I know enough right now. I can't, programming is too difficult for me to say, okay, here's a manual program. But the whole idea goes back to the franchise model. I can show someone at McDonald's, this guy idolizes at McDonald's. I can show someone how to make fries. For the fries, you take them out of the bag, you put them in, you press this button, you put them in, and the alarm goes off, you pull them out, put this much salt on the button. I can't do that with software consulting. I can't say, here's a manual, it'll tell you how to build every application someone's going to ask us for. But I have done the job long enough to look at someone's code, or to talk to somebody and figure out, okay, that person's going to be a good developer. And then put them in that role, so now they're working on another project, which I have a guy working on a project for me right now, and I'm able to do it. And the idea is that we spend time working on building the business instead of doing the work, you know, over time. Again, the principle in the E-Myth is that you should be able to cross-train anything that you do in your business, but realistically that doesn't work for every business. So I would say that for especially difficult technical stuff, you want to create the repeatable processes, but you want to create the repeatable process of identifying a person with the skill to do your job. So I'm going to do my own social media marketing long enough to know it's working for me, and long enough to realize, okay, I need an expert to pick it up, or I need someone who can just follow my instructions and do it. I'm going to do the development of mobile devices. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm going to do it long enough to know good iOS code from bad iOS code, good Android code from bad Android code, and pick someone else to do those, and I step away and go to the next level. And by doing that repeatable process, we're able to grow, and we're able to work on the business instead of in or managing other people, or picking up the phone and answering a question from me, instead of sitting in front of code all day, which we may be passionate about, but nobody works just to work. You work for money, you work for freedom, you work for people. Again, I'll say check out Gerber on it. Also, my last thing is like valuable tools to help you work on your business instead of in. I realize, you know, like trying to make invoices from spreadsheets is a nightmare. If you do it long enough, it's just going to be ugly and it's just difficult. It doesn't look professional either. You print a PDF, a little bit of stuff in the corner. I mean, I even got QuickBooks and it looks like this. They're just awful. There's a company called FreshBooks. It's a software as a service, costs me a couple $100 a year. I can email my clients directly. I have a couple of clients who actually go and snail me a paper invoice instead of me dressing an envelope, handwritten, because that looks softer, putting in the printer, figuring out how to make the printer print out an envelope, which I haven't done for years. All this stuff. It's a different button. You click the button, they get a big code. Awesome. So you find the tools that help you work on your business. So I'm not spending time doing invoicing. I'm not paying somebody to do something as simple as the few invoices I write. Just now, put the stuff in software, click a button. It'll remind me if they're late, it'll do all that stuff. That's all I got. If you need to contact me or would like to, I sit over there. I'm here a couple times a week. Here's my information. Questions?